So here it is again. I'm going to shove a little loop through, pull that loop to this side, and then pull that through to the top. What's up everyone, Shaun Murray here, and yes, this is Lake Powell. This is one of the most beautiful places on earth. If you've never made it here, I encourage you to try to make the trip. But today we're gonna be talking about this mess. Do you ever have ropes that are just like a big mess that are happening? And because the ropes can be one of the more frustrating things, because you're getting ready to ride and you're like, and then you got to deal with knots. Do I deal with knots? Yeah, sometimes I honestly do. So if you see me out there, you're like, I thought you didn't get knots. No, I'm saying that straight up. My rope, not sometimes, but some of these ropes are really nice because they coil well, especially if you have some tips and tricks. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm gonna show you on 2 different types of wakeboard lines and 1 Wakesurf rope on how to coil them. I coil them all differently and I store them in a certain way because I like a nice organized boat. If you're like me and you like things to be organized, this is for you. If you're not nice and organized, this is still for you because you don't want your rope to be in a big bunch of knots. So let's start first with a Wakesurf rope. This is one of the shorter ones, one of the easier ones. And what you want to do is first just make sure that your rope doesn't have any knots. A good way to do that, toss it in the water, hang on to the handle. You can give it a couple different throws like this. That'll help straighten it out because as you coil it, it actually spins it, but we're going to change that up a little bit later with a different rope. You can even drag some ropes behind the boat to get them to have some nice straight lines. So here's what we're going to do. This is just a little bit bigger than a basketball, all right? And the reason being is going to be shown here at the end. You want not super massive coils and not super short ones. You're going to keep doing this until you get to where you have about 2 coils left, maybe 1.5. This is about the perfect length right here. This is about my arm width. I'm 5'6". And so what you're going to do is you're going to take this, you're going to wrap this around, gathering that up until you have just enough to do this little trick. So first you contain it all nice and tight. Then you're going to take part of the rope and you're going to shove this through while keeping this side out that we just had it at. So here it is again. I'm going to shove a little loop through, pull that loop to this side, and then pull that through to the top. Okay, so you can pause that, rewind it. The nice thing about this is all about the release. When you're done with it, take it here, take it out, and then you just unwind it, right? Huck it out to the surfer. So once again, we're gonna do this really quickly. Toss it aside, push this through as I drop it all, and here we are. So that can hang, in the Nautique, we've got little rope hangers that are really nice inside there. My Paragon has a little pouch up at the top, the cargo net, shove that in there. And now let's talk about the wakeboard lines. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to throw it into the water and I want to make sure that I don't have any knots. And you'll see me do this with the rope. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this thing nice and straight. I can see I've got a little bit. And you'll also notice that these silicone jacket lines, if you get them wet, they're not as sticky and they don't bind on themselves. When you're done riding, one of the best things you can do, hook it onto a cleat on the back of the boat and just drag it for a bit. And then you begin to coil it. Here we go. First, you're going to hold this in either your right or your left hand. I'm going to do this handle in my right hand, and I'm going to make these circles, these coils, the same size as the triangle being on the handle. Now, I'm going to continue doing these coils, okay? I'm going to do a few fast, and then I'm going to show you what I'm actually doing. You can see that I'm actually spinning the rope in my hand. So I'm rolling the rope, I'm throwing a coil into it. Now, here's the tricky thing. This rope is spinning. Some people, this really bothers them. I'm going to show you how to do it differently, but I don't mind this because if the rope has some spins in it, that's okay. So I continue to do this, and what I'm doing is I'm taking this and I'm throwing a loop into it every time. Throwing a loop into it every time. And that is actually spinning the rope. When you are at the end, you want to save at least a coil and a half. So you may need to adjust it because what I want is a decent amount of length. This is a 2.5 foot section. So that's a good length to go with. And what I'm gonna do, here's the trick. Notice I've got the tail hanging out the pinky side of my hand. Here is why. I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to throw it over. I am making a loop. and I'm going to throw it over. That's the tricky part. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to grab with my thumb. Okay, so I throw over, grab it with my thumb, and this is what is going to be left hanging here. So I'm going to pull this through, pull it tight until I run out of that coil, and then this tail that was left there goes through that loop. And this is how it's finished. You can even center it up if you want. And it goes like that. You can hang your life jacket on it. It's a pretty cool thing to do. The reason I really like to use this is because when you undo it, right? Some people, they'll just take it and wrap it around a bunch of times and pull it tight, but then you have to unwind it that way. But watch this. I'm going to take that loop off the tail and I'm going to just give it a pull and it's done. One more time, throw it over, pull around, pull the tail through, and there you have it. That is one way to do a wakeboard rope. Next, the progression series. This is a new rope and handle that HYPERLITE and I came out with this year, and this goes all the way into 45 feet. Most ropes are not gonna go in that short. The reason we have that is so you can learn tricks at slower speeds, shorter line length, and then progressively make your way back to your normal riding length. Pretty cool, right? So, the thing is, this rope is a different type of line. It's this fusion line, and it coils differently and it doesn't spin the same. And this is going to be a little bit of a different coil. We're going to do the same size coils, the size of the triangle. But you're gonna see that this rope, if I just were to continue to try to throw spins into it like this, it's eventually going to start to figure eight on me. And it doesn't have the same look. You can see these coils are getting a little bit wonky, okay? So I'm gonna drop some of those. This is gonna be the trickiest part, but don't get frustrated. All it is, like normally I'm gonna grab it here, but what I'm doing is I'm turning my hand and grabbing the backside this way. The reason being is I'm actually flipping this rope and not spinning it all the way through. This is what is good for extension cords. You can use this for audio cables. Not many people use audio cables, but the audio guys know what I'm talking about out there. But extension cords, different things you don't want to spin all the way around, because when it goes out, it actually works way better. And I'm gonna show you this here in a second. So I'm gonna do a normal coil where I throw the loop in, and then I'm gonna do a backwards one. Sometimes I can get a couple normal coils, and if I see it going a little bit funky, then I'm gonna do that backhand, spin it in. I'm gonna show you that a few more times. Here's the normal coil, and then here's the backhand, spinning that coil so it's actually going underneath. See that? It goes underneath. This way, underneath, here, here. So then I'm not spinning the rope. Have you ever been to Lake Powell? If you have, comment below. If you haven't, comment below you want to make it. Here's what's cool. Here's a little secret. Here's a little secret. If I'm doing like a nautique shoot or something, they want that slow-mo shot of me throwing the handle out. That's how I coil it, no matter what rope I'm using, because then it goes out without getting knots. So, let's see if it really works. Okay, it's always a good set when it starts like this. If you can take this rope and get almost all 75 feet out there without any knots, here we go. That's pretty good, right? Well, there you have it. That is hopefully gonna help you guys keep your boats nice and organized, and also not get frustrated right before you ride. You can see there's a couple different ways to do the wakeboard ropes and your surf rope, and then you go ahead and store them somewhere. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to do that below. Always appreciate it when you like and share, because then YouTube pushes it out even more. So I really do appreciate that. If you don't subscribe, maybe consider doing that. And if you're gonna do that, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm putting videos live, which happens all the time. If you didn't know, I do have some merch, so you guys can go to ShaunMurray.com and check that out. You can also check some of the links into the description below for some more information about me. No matter what you're doing, wherever you're doing it, whether it's one of the most beautiful place in the world or in your backyard or some place that you've never ridden before, always enjoy your ride. Peace!